In today's video, we're going to talk about the gear that I used during my whitewater canoe and fishing trip in Wabakimi Provincial Park. Before we take a look at that though, I'd like to thank Bruce at Wabakimi Outfitters. Bruce was our outfitter that supplied us with our canoe and with a ton of great information about the park, the route, the history of the place. Great information from Bruce at Wabakimi Outfitters. Really appreciate that. Anyone looking for an outfitter for Wabakimi Park, highly recommend talking with Bruce. On to the video, and then we'll come back and do some afterthoughts. It's day number 4 here on our Wabakimi fishing and canoe trip. Just got done with a full day of paddling, running some rapids, and just caught some fish. Gonna go through my gear, just got to camp. I'll go over everything I'm carrying for this particular trip. The goal of the trip is primarily fishing. It's a little bit fishing on whitewater, I would say. So it's a little bit more of a slow trip. We're not going super high speed, low drag. And most of the portages, I think the longest one we do is like 150, 160 meters. So very short portages. If I was doing a high speed, low drag, faster type trip in Algonquin, very different gear. But for this trip, 2 different bags, keep it simple, and it allows you to organize better. So my first bag is my small bag. This is a 27 liter zippered dry bag by a company called Remote Designs. Really like this bag, got it new just for this trip. It's been really helpful to have and organize, and so when we're doing double carries, bring my big portage pack, usually do that first, scout it, and then if I'm carrying the canoe, I put this on, the straps add a little bit of padding, and this material kind of helps the pads not shift around. So I'm just going to start at the top and go down with what I carry. On the outside, you might have already seen this, my fish glove. Joe hates this thing, he makes fun of me about it all the time. I like it, my hands are not destroyed like they were last fishing trip. You can grab right onto a walleye, you can lip a big pike. It's so much easier to just hold on to the fish, and this is way easier and lighter than carrying a net, way simpler. Going through the bag, it's got this big waterproof zip on the top. Starting at the top, most important thing, snacks of course. I carry my snacks in this little green pouch, Cliff Bars, there's some Nun tablets in there, trail mix. It's pretty much used up for today, but most of my snacks will go in there. We'll talk more about food later. In the top, one of the zippered compartments, I use the GoPro head mount. I've been using either the GoPro head mount for some of the rapid shots or a floaty thing stick, and sometimes I'll tuck it in my vest, and then that kind of works like a chest mount. I got this little tiny wimpy fanny pack. It's where I put my camera. My big camera for the trip, I've been going lightweight. I'll do a bigger review on this, but I've been using the Sony ZV-1, which is a small little like vlogger camera. It works fine. I use that little fanny pack when I'm backpacking. It fits right in there, so I just store it in there. Got my rain gear, top and bottoms. Got it in the stuff sack. It's nice to have it organized in here and not flopping all over the place. Arc'teryx Beta AR, I think is what my jacket is, and some type of Arc'teryx pants. I've got this little clippy thing for the GoPro. Sometimes this is on the canoe, sometimes it's in my bag. What else I got in here? Sunglasses case. We were doing some whitewater. Thank goodness we haven't had to use this yet, but I brought a whole kit for doing a 3-to-1 Z-drag system in case we happen to upend the canoe and pin it against a rock. I've got that. And then I've also got a bigger throw bag. Sometimes this is in the boat, sometimes it's in the bag. This is a strong Spectracord 70-foot line that we can do a Z-drag with if we get the boat stuck. Hopefully we never have to do that, but it's there if we need it. And then I've got hand sanitizer, deuce of spades, and some toilet paper for going to the bathroom. And that's pretty much it. That's it for this. Oh, in the outside zipper pocket, I will keep usually my fishing kit, so I can get to this quickly if I need it. So I've got my big fishing kit. Joe's got a smaller box. I'm a little envious. I'd like a smaller box. And usually I keep a pair of gloves in the back, but that's easy to get to. So that's the main bag. That's everything there. Let's look at the portage pack now. This is just starting at the top, working my way down. I have no idea what the weight is. Most of it's food weight. Possibles pouch. I made all these little pouches myself. You'll see them, they're all color coordinated. Nothing agitates me more than trying to dig through a bag and not be able to find what I want, so the color coordination is super helpful. Orange is med kit, I don't know, inReach, extra sunscreen, all kinds of like normal possible stuff. This is the electronics and backup. So there's 2 big bricks of batteries in here, 2 Anchor 10,000 bricks, an extra water filter, extra pair of sunglasses, just kind of extra stuff goes in the blue bag. I did two 10,000 milliamp bricks. I probably didn't need that many. Probably like one is going to be more than enough. Small foldable foam pad. You see me use this all the time backpacking. Super helpful. Went with the MSR Pocket Rocket. The MSR Pocket Rocket, and a lighter is in my, who makes this? I don't even know. Evernew titanium ultralight 900 milliliter pot. I have an old video reviewing this. Got the Pocket Rocket in here. Got the big can of fuel. Joe's got his Bush Buddy, so we've got plenty of things to do fire with. Snow Peak plate. I figure we're gonna eat and fish. It's nice to have a plate to eat it off of. I've been doing a little bit different footwear system. I've been doing Crocs. The Crocs are great for camp shoes. They're a bit bulky, but if they get wet, they dry instantly. I usually just change out of my boots when I get to camp and wear these around. If they get wet, I can even, go into the canoe and do fishing. They dry out really quick, so those work good. What else we got? Little tiny sack, red and orange. This is my SD cards and extra batteries. I've got like 3 or 4 GoPro batteries, and then like 7 or 8 batteries for the ZV-1. So far I'm fine on battery power. The big boy is a food sack. This is got all my food in it. I try to make it so I can always get to it from the top. It's kind of long and skinny, so I can get to it if I need more food during the day. Tons of food, standard stuff, mountain house, that kind of things. Tent-wise, shelter, we've got the Big Agnes Copper Spur HV UL1. It's hard to remember the names of all these things. I usually carry the tent and the poles separate. It seems to squish and move around better, and I can kind of isolate and protect the poles in amongst the other stuff vertically. So great tent, it's been working out well. Like it so far. Backup fishing pole. Brought this from from Amazon many years ago. It was like 20 bucks. It's called the Proton. Fiberglass telescoping. We've had to use it before. We've lost poles in the past. Got dirty socks flopping around. We'll clean those. Chair from REI, classic. Always bring a chair when doing a canoe trip. It's really a pain in the butt to sit in the canoe all day long and then not have a place for your back. I brought this from home. It's a cutting board, a little plastic cutting board. This has been nice. Kind of as a backup plate. I've laid out my charcuterie board on this, cut all my salamis and stuff on it, and then it's easy for fish too. It's nice to have a surface and it weighs nothing. Next up we got Old Blue. You guys have seen this forever. It is my main group camp tarp. Got it set up with 4 25 foot lines and then one like 35er that I can go up and over a tree on. So plenty of lines. They're all in Press 6, works super good. I brought a super lightweight hammock, little homemade dealio that I made myself. It compresses down to like next to nothing, probably only weighs a pound, and it's nice to have a hammock on these chill days, so I'll probably set that up later. We've got, well, this isn't Smart Water. This is called Sailor Jerry water. So we've got Sailor Jerry. I got it in a Smart Water bottle, which is super durable, and it's tall, skinny, and vertical, which fits good with all the other tall, skinny, vertical things. So Sailor came along with this trip. Got plenty of Sailor left. Got the Hyperlite mountain gear, little REpak. I think I said in an earlier clip that the mountain house bags, they take up a ton of room, and so I repackaged like 2 or 3 nights into just a regular Ziploc. Cuts the size in half. I haven't had them go bad, and I just use this to reheat it, so that works well too. All of my bedding stuff for just extra protection is in this trash compactor bag. Makes it easy to pull it all out at once. The bottom of your dry bag will get kind of wet as you put wet things in there, so it's nice to have your stuff extra sealed. In here I have Kuiu 850 down fill jacket. I've worn it once for like 5 minutes. It's been pretty warm. I've got a extra reel. This is a reel, Shimano 2500. Good to have. Backup reel and rod. My sleeping bag, same one I always use, Katabatic gear, 30-degree top quilt. So I've been using this. Plenty warm. I mainly just had it around my feet. Like, it's been really nice at night. I've slept really great. It's probably in like the upper 50s, but it's not been hot. Also in here, extra clothes. Another extra clothes bag I made. Let's see what I got in here. I've got a extra pair of underwear, 2 pairs of socks, an extra pair of pants, a wind jacket, or wind shell, and then like a long sleeve button down like safari shirt. I have worn none of these things. I've tried the socks, that's it. Like, most of these things are not necessarily needed, but if we were gonna ditch and be soaked and get to camp and be wet, it would be nice to have an extra pair of clothes, so that's why I brought those extra clothes. What else is left in here? Pretty much just this. This is my sleeping pad. It's the Neo Air something, the yellow one. And then I have a hat from the outfitter. We used Wabakimi Outfitters and Ecolodge as our outfitter to supply us with maps in the canoe. It's a good hat. I'm just using it as a backup because I've got my Tilly on. So let's go over what I've been wearing. Wearing wise, I've got my Tilly. Always love the Tilly. Sunglasses. We've got the Yolbo. I think these are called the Rush. I like these glasses a lot. They're brown tint. They're polarized. They're variable from I think 10 to 20% tint. So these are really nice. My shirt. I didn't use a long sleeve button down this time. I've been using my sun shirt. I usually backpack in. It's really lightweight. When you get to camp and the bugs are annoying your ears at night, you simply just go like this, and then no bugs. No bugs in the ears, which drive me nuts, so that's good. On the pants front, I've mainly been wearing these. These are the Fall Raven Abisco Lights, I want to say. So they use a G1000 light fabric, which works pretty good. You gotta have the chapstick in your pocket. This is the Headhunter Coconut 30. This is good. Save that. Belt and knife-wise this trip, I've been using my classic Fall Neven, whatever you want to call it, F1. I can never pronounce this thing right. Great knife. Used this one pretty much all canoe trips for the past 6 or 7 years. No rust. Stays super sharp. It's got this really nice secure holder. And I really, really like this knife. It's lightweight too, it works great. Then I tried something different this time. I saw Joe had one of these last time, so I got a belt. This is called the Invinci belt by a company called Anson. And they're supposed to be a dress belt, but it works great for this. And the cool thing about it is it's got these notches in the back. They're clicky, and it's like a plastic belt basically. It's clicky, and you can hear it. You can adjust it to right where you want to. And you might say, why would you wear a belt like that? That's kind of heavy duty. It's super nice when your pants are soaking wet and covered in mud to have a belt that's strong enough to support your pants and they don't fall down. So that's a big bonus for me there. Going on all the way down to my shoes. This time I've got some super thin, like mid-calf, darn tough black socks. They've been working really well. They dry out really fast. And then I love my boots. These are new. These are Astral. I don't even think they make them anymore. They just have a lowrider version. But these are the Astral Mirage MR1. They're pretty cool. I like them. They're like a little like, I don't know. They dry quick. They drain really fast. I've had better foot health, I would say, on this trip than any of my other previous ones. I usually get my feet get all gross after being wet all day. But these dry and they're not soaking wet and they go pretty good. And then I flip into the Crocs when I get to camp. So that's what I wear from head down. Let's go over, take a look at the canoe, and we'll look at some of the gear I have in the canoe itself. So down here by the canoe to go over canoe gear. For life vest, I've got this NRS Chinook vest. A couple of things on it that makes life super simple is I've got the line clippers. This is from the Boomerang Tool Company. In this pocket, Sawyer Squeeze with Sawyer Squeeze bag, and I keep my cell phone in here to use as GPS. In the other pocket, got this little mini fly fishing box that we keep I keep some basic lures in. If I need to get to my bigger box, I can. Got these Rapala magnetic pliers. They don't have a spring. They just have 2 magnets here that keeps them open. So that works really good. And I usually keep this tucked away unless we're doing fishing, and then I have it out like that. And it's super easy to get to. I've got it on a retriever. Makes life really easy. For safety and for protection, I've got more chapstick, sunscreen, another little thing of lip balm, and of course, gotta have your safety whistle. So, gotta have your safety whistle right there. That's easy to get to. So that's the life vest. So here's some other gear that I've been carrying. I typically have it out in the canoe, and then if we're portaging, I'll clip it onto stuff via carabiners. So here's the GoPro. I've got the foam wind protector around it. It seems to work pretty good. It does maintain or hold some water, which kind of stinks, but it's the best wind canceling device I've seen. It's a little foam housing, goes all the way around the GoPro. And then I've got the floaty stick, which is nice. It can tuck into the vest here. Works okay as a chest cam. And I know this will always float, even if it goes for a drink, it goes in the drink. Speaking of drink, I've got my Nalgene. Always replace the caps on a Nalgene with the Human Gear cap. This thing is the best cap ever. It's got the little mouth and the big one. I love this bottle. Anyways, drink plenty of fluids. This has been super helpful also. This is a map case. It's made by AquaQuest. You can fold it up. I can never remember how to do this. You have to like be a origami master, but you can fold it up. Makes your maps all nice and waterproof in here. There's a waterproof zip and it folds over. I have each map for just about each day. Sometimes it's some days are 2 days, and a lot of times it'll slot right in your vest. And then to carry it on a Portage, I got a little piece of string. Just connect that piece of string onto a beaner and carry it on your pack. Other items in the canoe is I've got my flat water paddle. This one is by Redtail. I like this paddle and I like its size. It's about right where I like it, which is chin height. The outfitter gave me this heavy duty whitewater paddle, and it's much taller. It's up to my nose, and it's funny how like that extra little bit can make a big difference. You can make some powerful strokes with this and feel secure, but I do like a shorter paddle. I think this is my preferred size, is chin height. But anyways, great paddle. This is super nice to paddle with. Other than that, oh, fishing gear. Final thing in the canoe, typically in the canoe or tied in with some gear ties, is a fishing pole. This is a 4-piece Ugly Stick GX2. Been using this for a while. 6-footer. I wouldn't get anything longer for a canoe trip. If they're like 6.5 or 7, they start getting annoyingly long and hard to put in a canoe. So 6 foot is good. And then I do have a kind of a nice higher end reel. This is the Stratic CI4 Plus by Shimano. It's 2500 size. I have, I think, 12-pound black braid on it. Joe's using something similar. I think his is 10 or 12 and his is green. But this is all you really need out here. 6-foot rod. I think shorter is better. You don't need something longer that you can cast further. It's easier to fit in the boat, 6 foot. And then a 2500 or 3000 size rod with 10 to 12 pound braid. We haven't been using any steel leaders, and we haven't been, Joe's had 1 or 2 snags and have it break, but I haven't had any. So we haven't used any steel leaders and just been using straight up braid. So that's it. If you have any questions about my gear in this video, please leave a comment. I'll do a more in-depth video about my camera setup that I've been using for the past couple of months for backpacking and for this canoe trip. Been working out really good, and I'll do that soon. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a good day. So now on to the afterthoughts. Hopefully that was helpful. The gear video kind of laying out and talking about everything kind of at a high level. If you have any specific questions on any piece of gear, let me know. But I wrote down quite a few notes on the way home about things that I wanted to do just a little bit differently. I feel like every trip I go, I learn a little bit more, I dial my gear in a little bit more, and I've really got it down to a point where I like just about, I know exactly what I'm going to need, but it's always good to modify and make small differences. And this trip was a little bit different than previous ones, and that we were doing the Whitewater, and a lot of the notes here are based upon things I would do a little differently based on Whitewater. So in no particular order, here's just a couple of things that I would do differently, but all my thoughts from that video that I shot while there still stand. So the first thing I would do different is everything needs to float. On a flat water trip, your probability of losing something is relatively low, but in a whitewater trip, it seems a lot higher, especially if you dump. So it either needs to float or be tied in my opinion. So one thing I would do different, and I was a little paranoid about this, was my headband for my GoPro. I was wearing that the first couple of trips, or first couple of rapids, and then it actually fell off. I got hit with a branch just kind of like getting in the canoe, and it fell right off, fell into the water only 2 feet deep, but I pulled it out. They make foam headband things that go in the back of the GoPro headbands that make it so that the whole thing floats if it falls over. The floaty alone on the GoPro is not enough floatiness for both the headband and the GoPro. I tried it and it didn't quite work. It slows down the sinking, but still sinks. So bigger foam thing goes in the back, holds on the headband. Or your other option would be to wear a helmet, of course, and then mount it on like a stuck-on sticky mount that would go on the helmet. So that's another option. We know all about this because you probably, if you watched my trip video, you know this was something I talked about a lot. Floating fishing pole. They basically make like a pool noodle. It's like this long. It kind of fits on the pole, and it allows it, if the fishing pole falls over, to float. It's going to look dorky, but heck, I'm doing that. I'm not losing another expensive reel into the water, so I think that's something that's important, relatively inexpensive. Next up, something I raved about in the video that I liked was my Anson belt. That belt, by the time the trip was over, by putting on the strap for the Portage pack and wearing that, the belt actually wore a hole in my stomach. I had like a bruise and some cuts. The edge of it's just like not real sharp, and I never noticed it in just everyday wear, but like repeatedly sitting in the canoe, putting the pack on, constantly on and off, actually wore a hole in my stomach essentially. And it is a little almost too stiff. The Invincible belt that it's made out of, it's like plastic. So I might just go back to a webbing belt, get a little bit heavier duty webbing belt than kind of the thin one that I've always used. It always doesn't seem to want to keep my pants up when they get soaking wet. They're real heavy, so they fall down. So I was like, I need a heavy duty belt. So I tried that Anson one, but the Anson one then like wore into my stomach. So not super helpful. Less power bricks. I brought two 10,000 milliamp bricks, and I only ended up really using one. So I think for every 5 to 6 days, I think one 10,000 brick will last you 5 days with a couple of recharges, and assuming you have 4 or 5 batteries for your GoPro and 4 or 5 batteries for your main camera, then that brick is enough to recharge your GoPro 2 or 3 times and your phone maybe once or twice, something like that. So just one brick. If I was going for 10 days, I'd still probably bring 2. I'd like a better way to secure my phone. I was always, again, in the spirit of extra waterproofing and extra flotation. I had my phone in my like chest pocket here on my PFD, but I was always concerned I'd pull it out and fumble with it and drop, or it would get smacked, or there's kind of heavily water resistant. I think new kind of iPhones are. I think you could probably dunk it in some water and be okay, but just for an extra layer of security, I think I would probably put it in a lock sack next time. I've done that before, and maybe put a tether on it. I tried, before the trip, I actually found like a phone case that some people use to go to the beach and have their phone with them, and it was so big and bulky, and it was kind of fat, and the touch screen didn't work real well. I didn't like that, so I think I'll use a lock sack method, which is just like a super heavy duty Ziploc. I'll use that again in the future. So securing the phone, important. This is going to sound weird, but recording the outfitter. So the outfitter we use, Bruce at Wabakimi Outfitters, great guy, tons of knowledge. He's been outfitting the park for like he's been in the park or outfitting for like 45 years. So this guy like knows the park like no one else. And so when he's going through the map, he made notes and would circle things. We had like a page per day, about maybe 2 pages for some days. He would write notes into it, and we had those notes, and super helpful. I highly recommend, if you've never used an outfitting service or paid for their assistance, the couple times I've used outfitters, it's very helpful to have that local knowledge, because otherwise, especially on this trip, it would have been downright scary. We were trying to figure out where the portages were, what rapids to run, what to not. So super helpful there, but it would have been actually helpful to do a separate audio or video recording every single day that Bruce, he kind of sat down with us the night before and said, go here, do this, do that. And there's so much information he would tell you about stuff. You can't all capture that with just a few scribbles and notes on a piece of paper. So I might record the outfitter next time, just an idea. So that way, like the night before, you could pull out your phone, sit around the campfire, hit play, and you'd be like the outfitter talking you through the next day. Maybe that just detracts from the fun of it, but it also would provide good information. Smaller tackle box. So my tackle box is like this big. It's like, I think 10 by 8, something like that. Way too big. Again, way too much tackle. Joe had a little tiny one that was probably like about this big, probably like, I think it was 4 by 6 or something. You don't need that much stuff. You need like maybe 10, 12 lures tops. A couple of basic colors. Orange was pretty good. Silver, blue, gold. Those are kind of my 4 go-to kind of colors. Chartreuse occasionally. And you don't need that many lures. So mine was big. I, of course, brought too much stuff. So smaller tackle box. It just fits in things easier. It's easier to get to. It's easier to pull out. So just a smaller one. On the other side of that, bigger baler. So forever in a day, most of our trips have been long distance, go, high mileage, flat water type stuff. And so light and efficient is important, especially if you're trying to put some serious distance in. So we've always used a little tiny all-in-one baler. So it's got a whistle. You're required by Canadian law on a canoe to have some basic equipment. You need a baler, 20-foot rope, I think, and or it's probably 10-meter rope or whatever, and a whistle. So this little all-in-one does that, and The scoop is just fabric with kind of like a molded lip to it. So you can scoop water out and bail with it, but not when you've run through a couple of rapids and the nose is plowed in and you're sitting like in the lake. So I think just, I talked about in the video using like a pump. Like I know a lot of whitewater kayakers do that. If their spray skirt, like, you know, some water leaks in, the pump works well because they can't scoop because they're in this little tiny kayak. But I think in the canoe, really the old, you know, upside down milk jug or antifreeze jug or whatever, just cut in half with the cap screwed on the end and a piece of rope, and you just tie that in and then you bail with that, because that way you can get half a gallon out per scoop. I think that would just be super, super helpful. What did I say? Running whitewater comments. So one thing to address, I'll just put this out here. Some of the comments in the video were like, those rapids are nothing. And I agree. They're not that intense. I've done much more challenging rapids around in local rivers, but usually in like a ducky or I have a pack raft. It's a completely different mindset, I would say, from the local rivers I've run stuff on or gone on a guided trip and you know, had 8 to 10 people in a big raft. It was definitely a different mindset, being we were probably at least 12 plus hours, if not more, from the nearest hospital. You know, like we're in the middle of nowhere. So if you dump, lose your gear, smack your head on a rock, get messed up on a strainer, you're kind of on your own for a while. I mean, they got to get a float plane in, come find you, all that kind of stuff. So the wilderness rapids are definitely a different thing, and they may not look that bad, but you're seeing them for the first time. We were relatively inexperienced, or I would say very inexperienced in a whitewater situation together, tandem in a canoe. That was just all new to us, and you're in the middle of nowhere. While we were there, when we got back, we talked to Bruce. He had to rescue 4 different groups that same week we were out. 2 from wrapping their canoes around rocks. They wrapped them around. He had to go in and like get them, which means a float plane in, paddled up, 2-3 portages, find the people. And then he said one guy put an axe in his knee, so don't do that either. It's like you're out there. Like when you're in Wabakimi, you're out there. Your 3-hour drive. It's 3 hours from Thunder Bay, which is the closest big city. You're 3 hours from there to Armstrong, and Armstrong is a very small city. So your nearest big hospital is Thunder Bay, which is pretty darn far away. So you got to be careful out there. Just a word to the wise on the rapids. It is first-class wilderness experience, but you are out there and you need to be careful. Let's see, what else did I have? More bacon. Obviously, I always put that down. I don't think you can ever have enough of bacon. We had a great breakfast that first morning. Blueberries and the pancakes, bacon, amazing. One thing that I was very upset about is I tried 3 different times to use my GoPro to do a night time lapse, and every time I did that, it never worked. It never like turned on or did it right or whatever. I've since come home and found that the GoPro app is way easier to set up time lapses on the GoPro app on your phone. Connect the app to the camera, and I've done 2 or 3 in the backyard. Worked completely fine, no problem. So I would suggest you're trying to do time lapse and dink with the settings and make sure you got it all right and stuff like that. Just use the app on your phone. Works way better for the GoPro. So other than that, the tent worked out really good. My overall food was good. I had you saw in the video quite a few different colors of little bags that I had made. For those of you who have asked, I don't. They take forever to make. Like, I'm not very fast. They take an hour to make. I can't reasonably do that and sell them. There's many other manufacturers. Go to Etsy, look up like pencil sack. A lot of people make little sacks for kids to take their pencils to school, or zippered nylon bag, and there's 3 million people out on Etsy making those things. So I don't think I'll ever go into bag manufacturing, but they are very helpful to have different bags, color coordinated, bright colors, so if you drop them on the ground or they're laying around camp, you can find them in the morning. Joe has some bags that are like multicam and they're like hard to see, and he's always like, oh, did I lose it, where'd it go? So anyways, overall, hopefully that was helpful to someone kind of doing the post thoughts. Again, look to the gear video that I shot on site. All that information is accurate, and most everything I feel pretty dialed in with, but I'd make those couple of changes there at the end. So I hope you guys enjoyed the whole Wabakimi series, the 2 different videos, plus this final gear review. I appreciate everyone for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you got any questions or comments. I do look forward to those comments and questions in the comments. Till next time, thanks a lot.